Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Podcast Goodness. I'm your host, Christian Peter. The title of today's podcast is Why You Shouldn't Go After $10+ million Deals. And what we do here every single week, we come to you with podcasts because I want to spread the wealth, right? Knowledge is the one thing that you can give away infinitely and never be any poorer for it. In fact, it's a good deed to pay things forward. So that's what we try to do. We try to bring you a little bit of knowledge here every week. And what we really try to do is get you to the point where you are able to understand how to take commercial listings over and over again, take the right types of listings, and then be able to put money in your pocket quicker and more consistently as a commercial agent. All right. So without further ado, today we're going to be talking about deal size and, well, why you shouldn't chase those 10, 15, $20 million deals, right? Now, close your eyes and imagine this, right? You're a new agent. And if you are a new agent, you don't even have to close your eyes. These things are going through your brain. But I remember when I was a new agent, and a lot of us have a problem, right? That problem is the calculator that you have in your desk or in your pocket or in your phone, right? And what winds up happening is we see these deals, we see these opportunities. And what we wind up doing is we wind up seeing, oh man, I could sell that $10 million property. And if I got like 2 or 3 points on that, then oh my gosh, I'm going to make all this money, right? Now, what people don't realize is what it goes into, who you go up against, and so forth, and what it takes to really take those deals down, right? Okay. Now, I'm not saying that because I want to leave a room at the top for, more established brokers and bigger companies and so forth. I'm telling you that because I want you to use efficient use of your time, right? Time and knowledge are the only 2 things that we ever get to sell, basically, in brokerage, right? So what winds up happening is if you can never get back the time that you spent, that you wasted on a project, wasted on a potential client, wasted on something that you were going after, or a deal that fell apart, right? So if you really think about it, the people that make the most amount of business know how to spend their time most wisely. That's why, for starters, we're listing agents. We're not playing around with a ton of buyers. We're not playing around with leasing on a daily basis. We are listing agents. Why? Because someone gives you a listing, and that listing is an exclusive right to sell their property, okay? Unless you have an exclusive listing, your chances and probabilities of getting that property closed and paid for it are significantly diminished, okay? So at the end of the day, what you want to do is you want to create a business that you are taking high probability work, okay? Now, along those lines of high probability work, what you wind up coming into is, okay, what size deals should I go against? Go up for, I should say. So if you're trying to go after, 5, 10, 15, $20 million buildings in the beginning, a lot of us are allured to that. Look at all the money that you can be making. And the guy at JLL, the guy at CBRE, or the guy at this brokerage or that brokerage just did this, just did that. And great, awesome. You read it in the trade papers. You get to see the amount of money that changed hands. But just remember a couple of things. Number one, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. Okay, I'm going to say it again. It's not what you make, it's what you keep. Warren Buffett is coined to saying that, right? The other thing is, you have to remember the skills that are necessary, right? The adage that I like to use is the old adage about the dog chasing the school bus. When I was a kid, my dog, we had a beagle, and he used to chase the school bus, and he just loved to chase school. I don't know why he did it, right? But at the end of the day, if he was able to catch the school bus, guess what? He wouldn't know how to drive it. And a new broker, 1, 2, 3 years in, chances are you probably aren't seasoned enough to handle all the landmines that come with taking down a big deal. Because big deals, 10, 20, $30 million, they have a lot of landmines that come up. They have a lot of different levels of complexity. And frankly, I would much rather see you in your first year, 2, 3, close $500,000, $800,000, $1 million deals over and over and over again, then have you chase after these huge deals that, number one, have a low probability, and number 2, you don't quite have the skill set yet. Now, I'm going to show you economically why it doesn't make sense. Forget skill set, okay? Because a lot of agents think, oh, no, I can figure it out. I'm smart. I'm capable. Okay, and you probably are. But in the beginning, just know everyone feels that way, and most people are not as capable as they believe themselves to be in the beginning. But if you want to know the fastest way to become capable, it's to close other deals, right? How do you get good at closing deals? Close more deals, right? So and then that's why my first year in brokerage, I remember saying to myself, you know what? I don't care what the individual price is. Instead, I said, you know what? I want to get the process. I want to get the A to Z process. Because if I can get the process down, I can make money. Because then selling let's say, for instance, I was doing a lot of leasing in the beginning. I said to myself, doing a 2,000 square foot lease is no different than doing a 20,000 square foot lease, is no different than doing a 200,000 square foot lease, right? But you got to get good at the 2,000s before you can step yourself up to the 12 or the 20 or even the 200,000 square foot leases, right? And so number one, you have to understand the process. The brokerage process, let's just say it has 5 or 6 steps: A, B, C, D, E, F. If you only do A, B, A, B, A, B, and it falls apart, A, B, C, it falls apart, A, B, C, it falls apart, you never get to the point where you understand how to effectively do D, E, F. So if you spend your first couple of years chasing these huge deals or being the bird dog for your broker or managing director, chasing after these huge deals, what winds up happening is you're always doing A, B, C skill set, A, B, C skill set, A, B, C. Maybe you get to D. But if you never do D, E, F, and you never do them enough to get good at them, guess what happens? You never build the skill set necessary to take down those big deals. So in the beginning, folks, I highly recommend that you go after smaller deals, because it's the fastest way to get you to bigger deals. Okay. If you get good at closing them, you're going to develop processes. You're going to develop systems. You're going to develop objection handles. You're going to develop all those sales skills that you need in order to be able to close bigger transactions. That's number one. But if that's not enough, right? Just don't take advice from a guy like me. I'm going to prove it to you mathematically why it makes sense. Now, people say to me, okay, fine. I'm a couple years into the business and I'm closing deals that are a decent size. What's the sweet spot? Aha. So I fully recommend that the sweet spot for deals is right around between $2 and $5 million. Okay. Because there's a few things that are going on there. Number one, 2 to 5 million, you could typically get, and your market might be slightly different, but typically you can get 5 or 6 points on a deal like that. So we just do the economics of, let's say a $2 million deal at 6 points, that's $120,000. So 2.0 million times 0.06 equals 120K, right? Makes sense, right? 2 million, 0.06, 120K. By the way, I have terrible handwriting. I blame it on the fact that I'm lefty, whatever. Okay, let's extrapolate that a little bit more, okay? $5 million deal, okay? Times 0.06, okay? That is 300K, right? Makes sense, guys? 6 points, $5 million. And at that size, most sellers, they don't think twice. They're like, it is what it is. But what happens is after you get to the $5 million price point, a bit above that, maybe 8 million or so, they start looking at the absolute dollar amount that's involved in these transactions, and they start cutting down the percentage. They start looking at the absolute, not the percentage. So what ends up happening is they say, hey, I'll sell this $10 million deal, but I'm only going to pay a point and a half per side. Okay. I'm only going to pay 2 points per side, whatever. Okay. So let's do that. 10 million times 3 total points, right? Equals 300,000, right? Makes sense? 10 million, 3 points, 300,000. Now here's the thing. In the $2 to $5 million range, you have a lot better chance of getting the full 6. The reason being, you can create databases. You can go out and profile for the people, and there's a relatively large number of people looking for between $2 and $5 million properties. Okay. The further you get up the buyer pyramid, right? The low levels, it's really wide. There's a lot of people in that market. But when you get the higher you get into these deals, the fewer people they are. So not only are they harder to sell because there's fewer buyers, but there's less of them. So chances are you're going to need to utilize another broker to close that transaction. So rather than that being a $300,000 deal, right? Divide that in 2, you're making 10 million times 0.015, you're making 150,000. Okay. So look at this, folks. When you're not able to double in the deal, okay, and then they shave the points down, you are making almost the same on a $2 million deal as you are on a $10 million deal. Now, here's what's cool, right? With those big deals, you're going up against big brokerages, okay? And if you're the asset manager of a business, what happens is you have a job to do. If you're the asset manager of an asset that's in someone's portfolio, okay? And they say, okay, Christian, we want you to sell 123 Main Street. We feel like we've owned the asset long enough, and now's the time to get it, and dispose of it. Okay, cool. So my job as an asset manager, let's say, that I'm working for like one of the REITs, is to go out and find the company the brokerage company that's going to sell it for me. Am I going to take a chance on one of the smaller companies, maybe a lone wolf, maybe an unknown company? Or am I going to go for the one or the two biggest names out there because I like my job and I don't want to catch grief in the event that maybe they're unable to sell it, and then I look bad, right? So when you're going up for big deals, oftentimes, unless you have a personal relationship with an asset manager, there's a pretty good chance it's going to go to 1, 2, or maybe 3 companies, because those asset managers like to play it safe. And at the end of the day, they're not going to risk their job based on a bet on your ability to sell their property. Okay. So number one, you're less likely to be able to even have a realistic shot at it. Okay. Number two, you're not going to make as much money doing it. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, you make way more money as an agent in a smaller firm or a boutique firm than the guys do at those big companies do anyhow. Let me do an illustration for you, right? Let's say you're a commercial broker working at a commercial company, and you're when I say broker, I mean agent, broker, whatever. Let's say you're bringing home 70 cents on the dollar. Okay. You're going to make more money. Let's just say you do a $3.5 million deal, right? And let's say you picked it up at 6 points. Okay. And mind you, it's not that hard to do. Okay. Maybe you pick it up 6, maybe you pick it up 5, but let's just for round numbers. Okay. You get 3.5 times 0.06 equals, that's $210,000. Okay. 210,000 times 0.7 equals, at a 30% split, you're putting $147,000 in your pocket. Okay. That's more than the average American makes in 2 years. Okay. That's 2.5 years of the earnings of an average American. Okay. So that's the sale. One $3.5 million property at 6 points, right? It's totally doable. Okay. But more importantly, what you're doing is you're earning almost 2.5 times what the average American makes. Now, something I want to point out to you: these big boys that you're going up against, they do volume. Okay. What does that mean? They sell lots and lots and lots of these properties, but they don't necessarily make the same amount of money. So let's take these guys that are selling a $15 million asset. Okay. 15 million. And then what winds up happening is, for these $15 million assets, let's say they only pay you a point and a quarter on each side. Let's say, okay. So there's a total of 2.5 points, right? 15 million times 0.025 equals 375,000, right? Let's say they get both sides of the deal, 375,000. Make sense? 15 million times 0.025, 375. Okay. So make sure I got that right. 15 million times 0.025. Okay. Let's say they double end it and they get 375. Guess what they also have? They got a senior broker. They've got a junior broker. They got a marketing assistant. They got maybe a transaction coordinator. Maybe they got an analyst, right? Folks, you start taking $375,000 and you start splitting it up. Oh, and then mind you, guess what? They got to pay their share to the house, right? They got to pay their share to the house. So sometimes, in some cases, the house takes 50%. Maybe the house takes 60 or it takes 40%. The point being, when you take 375 and you divide it with the house, and then on top of it, you divide it with the senior broker, the junior broker, a marketing assistant, a transaction coordinator, perhaps an analyst, that money does not go very far. They're probably only making $40,000 or $50,000 per at best from that. Okay. So when you ask me, the people that say, oh, I want to go and work for this big company. No, you don't. And I promise you, because the pie gets divided. The pies are bigger, but they don't make the same percentages. And then on top of them not making the same percentages, what winds up happening is they get cut up so many different ways that there's not that much left. It sounds awesome. Wow, $30 million building was just sold by ABC company. $20 million building was just sold by XYZ company. But at the end of the day, the individual brokers aren't making as much as you think they are. Senior brokers, probably, yeah. But that pie is cut so many different ways. So what my point to you folks is, for those of you that are looking to get started in commercial, for those of you that are wondering what size commercial deals that you should be going after, I would highly recommend go with a brokerage that has good training and or good splits, one or the other, because you're not going to get both. You're not going to get a 90% brokerage with great training, and you're not going to get a brokerage. You're not going to get great training and not pay for it. You know, my experience has been that the better off you are is go out and find a coaching program that makes sense and works for you, and go to a brokerage with a very, very good split. Okay, because they can offer you one of two things: either they offer you leads and you close those leads, or you go out and you source your own business and you take a better split. That's just how the economics work. By the way, if this is helping for you folks, if you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and click like and subscribe. If this is valuable information, you can help that you'll be able to help you implement it into your business, go ahead and click like and subscribe. We'd love to have more subscribers so we can keep bringing you content like this weekly. Okay. And if you're seeing us on, if you're seeing this on either Spotify, go ahead and follow us. And please be sure to join our Facebook group, which is www.commercialsalesforagents.com. We give away sales information on commercial sales, on how to take listings and so forth. We give you brokerage tips as well as resources. Okay. So going back to it though, folks, okay, what you want to do, a lot of people ask me, the biggest question I get all the time is, where should I go for brokerage training? And I say, you have one of two things: either go to a company, like I said, that with good training, but you're often going to pay a lot out of your splits, or you go to a place with good splits and you pay for training, out of pocket. That's number one. And the second thing is what type of deals to go after. And I started this podcast by saying, do not, as a newer broker, go after $10+ million listings. The reason being, there isn't enough money in it. You could probably do better at $4, $5, $6 million properties, selling those and getting both sides of the deal, but then selling a $10 million property at a lower percentage, having to compete with the people that are the brokerages that are willing to lower their price point, be much better off working in that $2 to $5 million sweet spot, because that's how you're going to make the most money. Remember, the only thing we have to do is sell our time and our knowledge. So at the end of the day, you need to be doing the things that are the highest probability, and going after huge deals, $10+ million, is not high probability. And oftentimes for new brokers, they haven't developed the skill set. They're not seasoned enough to get themselves into the driver's seat. So I hope that helps you folks. Like I said, if you find this information valuable, go ahead and click like and subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching us on Spotify, go ahead and follow us. If you're seeing us on one of the other platforms, be sure to check us out, and be sure to come by to www.commercialsalesforagents.com. And then finally, if you would like a resource, we have a free ebook that we're going to be giving out. If you go ahead and look in the comments below, there's going to be a link that can take you to, so you can download it, so you can learn how to start taking commercial listings in 30 days or less. Okay. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you brought a little bit of value today. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next week.